Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, today we are pointing our compass toward a destination that has been generating like a massive amount of buzz lately. We are doing a comprehensive deep dive into Karimunjawa.
Right.
So this is a 27-island marine national park, and it's located right off the northern coast of central Java in Indonesia. If you're planning a trip and want the honest, is it worth it verdict before you book, follow the show on Spotify or Apple.
It's definitely a destination that needs some serious unpacking.
Oh, absolutely. So imagine the scenario for a second. You have just booked a pristine white sand island resort for, I don't know, maybe $30 a night.
Sounds incredible.
Right. You are picturing yourself with a coconut in hand, just zero stress. But instead, you spend 48 hours trapped on a concrete dock, just staring out at a gray, choppy ocean.
Yeah, watching the waves roll in.
Exactly. And meanwhile, your non-refundable international flight home is boarding hundreds of miles away in Jakarta.
That is the nightmare scenario.
It really is. And that is the very real duality of the destination we are looking at today. Karimunjawa aggressively markets itself as the quiet, cheap alternative to Bali.
And I mean, if you look at the numbers for 2026 and 2027, the math actually works.
It does. We are talking about rooms ranging from like $10 to $30 a night, and the national park entry fees are sitting right around $9.
But, and this is a monumental catch, you only get those prices if you can actually get there.
Yes.
Getting there dictates every single aspect of your trip.
So our mission today is to do the practical travel due diligence for the budget travelers, you know, the divers, the snorkelers, and the couples who want reef time without those crazy Bali prices.
And most importantly, we're going to determine exactly who needs to cross this destination off their list entirely.
Right, because it's not for everyone.
No. It is the ultimate exercise in managing expectations. Karimunjawa is constantly sold on social media as this pristine, undiscovered paradise.
The classic Instagram illusion.
Exactly. But the reality on the ground is far more complex. It is very much a working industrial fishing archipelago.
Okay, so it's not just a resort island.
Not at all. The national park status is just a regulatory layer that's been placed on top of a pre-existing, fully functioning local economy.
Right.
And while its biggest selling point is that extreme remoteness, which is, what keeps the prices so low, the remoteness is simultaneously its absolute biggest liability.
Because you're so cut off.
Exactly. You are stepping into an environment where human infrastructure is entirely subservient to nature.
Okay, let's talk about why we are doing a deep dive into this specific island group right now. There are three major shifts happening that change the calculus for anyone thinking about booking.
Yeah, these are big.
First is the air travel situation. So in July 2025, Susi Air actually began scheduling flights to the island's Dewadaro airport directly from Semarang and Yogyakarta.
Right, which was a huge deal.
Yeah. And we are looking at roughly $90 to $150 one way. So my initial thought is problem solved, right?
You'd think so.
I mean, if there is a flight now, doesn't that just completely bypass the whole trapped on a dock nightmare? You just fly over the rough seas?
I can see why you would think that, but we really have to look at the actual aviation mechanics here.
Okay, lay it on me.
So Susi Air is not operating massive Boeing commercial jets that can just punch through severe monsoon weather at 30,000 feet.
Right, they're tiny planes.
Yeah, they're operating small, unpressurized prop planes, typically these Cessna Grand Caravans.
Okay.
And these are fantastic, rugged little aircraft, but they operate largely on visual flight rules.
Which means they have to be able to see where they're going.
Exactly. When the monsoon rolls in, the cloud ceiling drops, the visibility plummets, and the crosswinds pick up across that tiny island airstrip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when that happens, those small planes get grounded just as quickly, if not faster, than the ferries get canceled.
So you're still stuck.
You are. Furthermore, they only operate a few days a week, and the seat capacity is incredibly limited. Usually, we are talking about a dozen passengers per flight.
Ah, okay. So it's definitely not a silver bullet.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it provides a fantastic scenic alternative to the ocean crossing during good weather. It saves you hours of driving and sailing.
Right.
But it does not eliminate the structural remoteness of the island. If a severe storm system sits over the Java Sea in January, neither the boat nor the plane is moving.
That makes sense. Okay, that brings us to the second big change, which is the environmental reality of the island.
This one is heavy.
Yeah, it is. In 2024, there was a massive shrimp farm pollution scandal that made national news in Indonesia. 4 operators of illegal tambak, which are these large, brackish water shrimp ponds located right inside the marine park, were actually convicted of environmental pollution.
And the socioeconomic mechanics behind that scandal are just fascinating and deeply relevant to anyone visiting.
How-
Well, you have to ask, like, why are locals building illegal shrimp farms inside a protected marine park?
Right.
The answer is economic friction. The fast tourism money, the snorkeling tours, the boutique homestays, often bypasses the traditional fishing families.
Oh, I see.
So some of those locals, seeking a better livelihood, turn to high-yield aquaculture, like shrimp farming.
Well,
And the runoff from these intensive farms was damaging the very reefs that the tourists were paying to see.
wow. And it got incredibly heated, too. An environmental activist named Daniel Tankilisen was actually jailed for flagging the damage caused by these farms.
Yeah, though he was subsequently exonerated.
Right. And we obviously aren't taking a side on the legal or political debate here, to be clear to the listener. We are just looking at the facts of the legal outcome from the source material.
Exactly.
But what is the actual takeaway for the person booking a snorkeling ticket?
The takeaway is that you really must discard that untouched paradise illusion. The ecosystem here is fragile, and it is under active, immediate pressure. You are visiting a place where the tension between local economic survival and environmental conservation is playing out in real time, like right in front of you.
That's a great point.
The reefs are beautiful, but they are not sitting in a vacuum.
That is incredibly important context. And the third reason Karimunjawa is surging in popularity right now is the Bali price gap.
And it's huge.
It has widened into a massive chasm. If you look at Bali right now, finding a quiet, decent quality room near a beach is going to run you anywhere from $120 to $180 a night, easily.
Easily.
Meanwhile, Karimunjawa is keeping its 27 islands accessible for around $30 a night.
And that price disparity is the main driver of the current tourism surge. It is a mathematical reality that budget travelers just cannot ignore.
So let's lay down our baseline US dollar anchors right up front so you listening can calibrate your mental wallet for the rest of this deep dive.
Good idea.
Okay, the slow ferry across the sea is about $7. The fast boat is around $11 to $18. Your weekday national park entry fee is just $9.
So cheap.
Right. Renting a scooter for the entire day is $5, and a shared snorkeling island hopping tour is going to run you between $9 and $15 per person.
When you lay out those numbers, the appeal is undeniable.
Oh, absolutely.
However, we need to establish the immediate skip-if signals right now because those prices come with hard conditions.
Let's hear them.
First, if you are expecting Maldives-grade water clarity every single day, skip this destination.
Really?
Yeah, the visibility fluctuates wildly. Second, if you are a remote worker who absolutely requires fast, uninterrupted Wi-Fi or, you panic if you can't find a reliable ATM on every corner, skip it.
Good to know. And the most critical one. Skip Karimunjawa entirely if your trip has a hard, unmovable deadline within 48 hours of leaving the island. You do not want to be the person frantically refreshing their airline app at the harbor because the ferry is delayed and your international flight out of Jakarta is tomorrow.
Because you will lose that flight.
Exactly.
And that perfectly transitions us to the single most important governing force of this entire destination. Because you are entirely at the mercy of the elements, the weather calendar dictates everything.
It is the absolute ruler of this island. Let's get into the sea state calendar. This is how the ocean controls your vacation. We'll start with the sweet spot, which is May and June.
Right. May and June are structurally the best times to go.
Why is that?
Well, you are moving firmly into the dry season. The weather patterns stabilize, the water is calm, and crucially, the Express Bahari fast boat is running reliably.
And that fast boat cuts the crossing from the mainland port of Japara down to about 2 hours, right?
Exactly, compared to the grueling 4 hours on the slow ferry. Furthermore, in May and June, you are beating the massive wave of domestic and international crowds that arrive later in the summer.
Right, because then we hit the peak, July and August.
Oh, yeah.
This is when the Indonesian school holidays kick in. The crowds flood the island, room prices jump up to their maximum, and those beautiful little offshore snorkel sites get completely packed out.
Because the infrastructure of Karimunjawa is finite. There are only so many boats, so many homestays, and so many warrooms.
Right.
When that July and August surge hits, every single bottleneck on the island becomes instantly apparent.
And then, and this is the scary part, we reach the gamble. November through March.
The rainy season.
Exactly. And this isn't just about getting a little wet on the beach. Tell me about the ocean mechanics here, because this is what physically strands people.
It comes down to a meteorological concept called fetch.
Fetch, like playing fetch.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Fetch is the unbroken distance that wind travels over open water.
Oh, I see.
The Java Sea is relatively shallow, and during the winter monsoon, strong, sustained winds blow across hundreds of miles of it. This massive fetch stacks the water up into short, steep, aggressive swells. And the primary slow ferry, the Siginjai, is a large, flat-bottomed vessel designed for hauling cargo and cars, not for cutting through massive, choppy waves.
All right.
So when the swell hits a certain height, it becomes structurally unsafe for that ferry to operate.
So it's not a matter of a captain just being cautious. The harbor master literally shuts it down.
Exactly. The Port Authority chains the boats to the dock.
Wow.
You cannot drive your way across the Java Sea. The fast boat simply stops operating entirely for those months because it would be battered to pieces.
So it's like a giant garden hose?
How do you mean?
Well, during the summer, the hose is wide open, ferries, flights, and tourists just flow freely to the island. But the moment the November monsoon hits, it's like Mother Nature steps on the hose.
Oh, I like that.
Everything just stops.
That is an excellent way to visualize it. When the hose gets stepped on, the supply of cash to the ATMs dries up, the fresh produce at the market dwindles, and the tourists get trapped on whichever side of the kink they happen to be on.
That sounds awful.
It is. If you plan a tight one-week vacation in January, you are taking a massive gamble. It's like playing Russian roulette with your annual leave.
Okay, assuming you pick the right month and avoid the kinked hose, let's map out the geographic layout so you listening can visualize where you'll actually be sleeping and exploring.
Good idea.
It's a 27-island archipelago, but the human footprint is highly concentrated. First, you have the main island, Pulau Karimunjawa. This is the hub. It's where the harbor is located. Pelabuhan Karimunjawa. It's where you'll find almost all the budget and mid-range accommodations, and crucially, the alun-alun, which is the central grassy square that transforms into a bustling night market after dark.
Right, and directly connected to that main island by a small paved road and a short bridge is Karimunjawa Island.
Okay.
This is where the Diudari Airport is located. Karimunjawa feels distinctly different from the main harbor town.
How so?
It's quieter, it's home to some beautiful protected mangrove tracking areas, and it tends to host the slightly higher-end, spread-out accommodations.
Got it. Now, when it's time for sunset, everyone migrates to specific zones. You've got Ujung, sometimes referred to as Tanjung, on the far west side of the main island.
Very popular.
It's about a 20 to 30-minute scooter ride from the main town. But let me tell you, because it is the premier sunset spot with these perfect leaning palm trees, it gets incredibly busy at golden hour. Every tour group pulls their boats up there at 5 p.m.
Yeah, so if you want to avoid that specific bottleneck, you have alternatives like Bobby Beach on the eastern side.
Nice.
It is a smaller, privately managed beach. It has a nominal entry fee of under $1, but it gives you a much quieter, different sunset cluster away from the massive tour boats.
And for the actual snorkeling zones, you aren't really swimming right off the main harbor, right?
No, not at all.
The crowds heavily concentrate offshore at places like Menjing and Kessel and Samara Island.
Right, these are stunning little sandbar islets that you reach by hiring the local island hopping boats. But because they are the absolute premier spots with the healthiest shallow coral, this is where you feel that peak season squeeze the most acutely.
Oh, I bet.
By late morning in August, you might have a dozen wooden boats tying up to the same mooring line, sharing one small patch of reef.
So understanding that geography, what are the actual crowd and booking strategies? I know we mentioned the prices are cheap, but do they surge during the peak?
The price shifts are remarkably modest, especially if you are using Bali as your baseline.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, a basic homestay in town that might cost $10 to $14 in the shoulder season might only push up to $18 to $22 in the July peak.
That's practically nothing.
Exactly. A mid-range resort room goes from $35 up to maybe $50 or $55.
Sure.
The core issue in Karimunjawa isn't the price gouging. It's the absolute scarcity of inventory.
Right, the logistics sell out before the rooms do.
Exactly.
If you are trying to get a seat on the fast boat on a Friday or a Sunday in July, they are gone.
Gone.
Those Susi Air seats, with only a dozen available per flight, they vanish instantly. If you are going in July or August, you cannot wing it. You need to book your transport and your bed 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time.
If we break down the ideal timing by traveler type, it helps clarify things.
Let's do it.
Divers should strictly target April to August. You need the ocean to be as placid as possible so the sediment settles and the underwater visibility clears up.
Makes sense.
Families should actively try to avoid the July and August crush. It is too chaotic with young kids. Aim for June instead.
And what about solo travelers?
If you are traveling alone and want a social scene at the hostels, go during the peak. But if you just want the absolute best prices and quiet beaches, aim for the shoulder months of May or September.
Okay, so you've picked your perfect month, you've booked your dates, you've got your strategy locked in. Now, how do you actually cross the Java Sea without losing your mind?
Good question.
Let's get into the arrival logistics, because this is where the adventure truly begins. You essentially have the classic route versus the sky route.
Right, so the classic route involves the overland haul to Jepara. Jepara is a coastal town in central Java, and it is a trek to get there from almost anywhere.
Yeah, if you are flying into a major cultural hub like Yogyakarta or Semarang, you still have to get to the coast.
Right.
You're taking a shared minivan shuttle or hiring a private car for about $9 to $12 per person just to reach Pelabuhan Kartini, which is the ferry port in Jepara.
And that drive alone can be 3 to 5 hours depending on Javanese traffic, which is notoriously heavy.
And once you finally arrive at the port, you face the water. You have two choices. The slow ferry, the Siganjai, takes 4 hours and runs year-round, assuming the harbor master hasn't stepped on the garden hose due to weather.
Right.
Or you take the fast boat, the Express Bahari, which takes 2 hours but only runs from April to October. Both of these vessels dock right at the main harbor in Karimunjawa town.
And then there's the sky route.
Yeah.
Susi Air. You skip the sea entirely.
But wait, how much does your arrival method actually color your whole trip? Like, if I save a few bucks taking the 4-hour ferry, am I going to regret it the moment I step on land?
Oh, it completely frames your psychological state upon arrival.
Really?
Absolutely. Let's contrast the two experiences. Imagine stepping off a smooth, air-conditioned, 2-hour fast boat ride. You grab your bags, you feel energized, you are ready to find a cafe and explore the island.
Okay, sounds ideal.
Now, contrast that with stepping off the 4-hour slow ferry. It was likely delayed in port. You spent 4 hours bouncing aggressively across rough, white-capped seas in a crowded cabin smelling of diesel fumes.
Ugh, that sounds brutal.
It is. You arrive physically drained, highly likely to be slightly seasick, and you need to burn your entire first afternoon just lying in bed recovering. The financial savings of the slow ferry often cost you a day of actual vacation energy.
That makes total sense. Pay the extra $10 for the fast boat if it's running.
Yes, 100%.
And once you do arrive, there's the on-the-ground friction to deal with. The good news is, getting from the ferry port to the main town is incredibly easy and cheap. It's just a $1 or $2 ojika motorbike taxi ride.
True.
But if you take the sky route and fly into the airport on Karimunjawa, it is a completely different story.
Correct. The airport is isolated. There is no line of waiting taxis. If you fly in, you absolutely must have a pre-arranged pickup organized with your hotel, or you will be stranded at a tiny airstrip miles from town.
That would be a bad start. But once you are sorted and heading to your room, there is a very good surprise waiting for you.
The vibe.
Yes, the vibe of the island is incredibly low-key. If you are used to the ports in Bali or the Gili Islands, you might instinctively brace yourself for aggressive touts yelling at you, grabbing your bags, or hitting you with high-pressure scooter rental pitches the moment you dock.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. Karimunjawa does not have that energy at all. The pace is refreshingly slow, and the locals are very respectful.
That is the charm of it being a working fishing island first and a tourist destination second. However, there's a bad surprise that catches a lot of first-timers off guard.
Let me guess.
The ATM situation.
Yes, the ATMs are a massive point of friction. They are limited in number, they frequently run out of cash, they physically break down, and they don't always accept foreign debit cards.
And let's look at the mechanism of why that happens. Going back to your garden hose analogy, the island operates on a physical cash economy.
Okay.
The paper money inside those ATMs has to be physically transported by bank employees on the very same ferries that the tourists take.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so if the ferry gets canceled for 3 days due to weather, the ATMs empty out and cannot be restocked.
That is wild.
Furthermore, the machines rely on telecom networks linking back to the mainland banking system. The salt air corrodes the hardware, and the microwave internet links drop out.
Which means
If the network goes down, the machine can't verify your PIN, and it won't dispense cash. You have to arrive prepared for structural financial isolation.
So do not assume island tourism equals Apple Pay everywhere. Bring cash.
Bring lots of cash.
Okay, so you've got your rupiah, you've dragged your bags away from the port. Where exactly are you sleeping for 10 to 50 bucks a night? Let's break down the accommodation tiers because there is a huge variety.
The lodging here splits very cleanly into 4 tiers. And to be fair, the value proposition is incredibly strong across all of them compared to the rest of Southeast Asia.
Let's start with Tier 1, the backpacker and budget tier. This is heavily concentrated in the main town center, right around the Alun night market.
Right.
You've got places like Big K Hostel and dozens of simple family-run homestays. We are talking $8 to $18 a night. For that, you might get a wall fan or you might get a very basic, older air conditioning unit.
But you must consider what it actually feels like to sleep in an $8 room on a remote island.
It's not the Ritz.
The trade-offs are significant. You are going to experience thin plywood or basic brick walls. You'll hear the roosters at 4 a.m., and you will hear the island's diesel generators humming.
Oh yeah, the generator.
You will likely encounter quirky water pressure in the shower, or occasional rolling power outages, and the Wi-Fi. It should be viewed entirely as a rare bonus, not a reliable utility.
Exactly.
This tier is strictly for the traveler who views the room as nothing more than a secure locker to store their bags and a mattress to crash on after spending 12 hours out on a dive boat.
If you need a comfortable sanctuary to retreat to during the day, Tier 1 is not for you.
Definitely not.
Next up is Tier 2, the mid-range couple. These spots are spread out a bit more toward the quieter coves on the main island or up across the bridge on Karimunjawa. We're talking places like Bungajabe or similar garden bungalow setups.
Right.
The prices jump up to about $30 to $55 a night. For that, you get reliable aircon, a private bathroom, breakfast included, and maybe even a small plunge pool.
It is a massive step up in comfort. But again, look at the geographical trade-offs.
What do you mean?
Well, because these nicer sprawling properties need land, they're located outside the main town. By booking Tier 2, you sacrifice walkability.
Ah, okay.
You become entirely dependent on renting a scooter or arranging transport with the hotel staff every single time you want to go to the night market for dinner or book a tour. It is a deliberate choice between the immediate convenience of town and serene, quiet privacy.
I mean, I'd take the privacy in the scooter ride any day, but you have to know how to ride a scooter safely.
Very true.
Tier 3 is the family tier. If you're bringing the kids, you're looking for larger 2-room bungalows or small resorts that have space to run around. This will run you about $60 to $100 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do want to dig into a very specific option here, because it sounds like a hack, but it might be a trap. The National Park Authority actually offers government-run cottages for around $31 a night.
Right?
That sounds amazing for a family.
It sounds amazing on paper, but there is a massive logistical caveat with those park cottages.
What's the catch?
You have to bring your own food. They're essentially self-catering, empty shells on a beautiful beach.
Let's really dwell on what self-catering means here. This isn't like renting an Airbnb in California where you just pop over to the supermarket.
Exactly. Think about the logistics of self-catering on a remote island where almost every piece of fresh produce, every tomato, every block of tofu arrives on the exact same ferry that you did.
Oh, man.
You're competing for limited supplies at tiny local markets. You have to source your own charcoal, negotiate for fresh fish at the docks, and do all your own cooking and cleaning in a basic kitchen.
That sounds exhausting.
For a highly self-sufficient group of backpackers who want to grill their own food and drink beers around a fire, it is a fantastic, cheap adventure.
Sure.
But for a family on vacation, where the parents are already exhausted from keeping kids sunscreened and safe on a boat all day, the last thing they want is to hunt for groceries and cook. It is generally a terrible idea for families who want the convenience of on-site service and a restaurant.
Totally agree. Do not underestimate the exhaustion of island sun. Finally, we have Tier 4, luxury and comfort. Now, luxury is a highly relative term here. We have places like Kura Kura Resort, which is actually a private island dive resort just off the coast, and Mega Resort Karimunjawa, which offers those classic Maldives-style overwater villas.
Beautiful spots.
And these range from $150 to $400 a night.
And if we look at the underlying value of that Tier 4 pricing, it's vital to unpack what the word luxury actually buys you on Karimunjawa.
Right, because it's not the Four Seasons in Maui.
No, You are not paying for five-star white glove polish. You are not getting lightning-fast fiber optic internet or Michelin star dining with imported wines.
So what are you paying for?
What you are paying for is supreme isolated remoteness. You are paying for exclusive immediate access to pristine house reefs without needing to hire a public boat.
And you should fully expect to pay a massive remoteness premium on any food or drinks you consume at these resorts.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you want a cold cocktail or a specific imported snack, you have to remember the supply chain. Every single item had to be loaded onto a truck in Java, put on a ferry, unloaded at the harbor, and then put onto a smaller private boat to reach your luxury resort. You are paying for that entire logistical chain.
Precisely. And, no matter which tier you choose to sleep in, everyone eventually gets hungry. And the food scene here is heavily centralized.
Yes. Let's head to the night market. Let's talk food, groceries, and local etiquette. The culinary epicenter of the island is undoubtedly the Alun Alun night market, right in the center of the main town.
It is the beating heart of the island after dark.
It really paints a picture. As the sun goes down, the grassy square fills up with these local Warung's food stalls filing up their grills.
The smells are just incredible.
The smell of coconut husks and charcoal smoke just fills the air. You walk up and they have the day's catch laid out on ice. You can point to a freshly caught fish or a whole squid. They grill it right in front of you, brush it with this sweet and spicy soy glaze, and serve it with a mound of rice and fiery sambal.
And the cost.
$3 to $6.
It's unreal.
If you want something even simpler, a classic plate of nasi goreng or mee goreng fried rice or noodles is literally $1.50 to $2.50. You and a partner could sit on a plastic mat looking at the stars and have a massive seafood barbecue spread for $10 to $16 total.
It is phenomenal value, and it is a genuinely wonderful cultural experience. But for those who are self-catering, or families who just need daily supplies of snacks and water, the grocery reality is a bit different.
What should they expect?
They have small mini markets in town, similar to an Alphamart or an Indomaret on the mainland, but smaller. Bottled water is cheap, roughly 30 to 50 cents a liter.
Okay, that's good.
Instant noodles are 40 cents. A bag of locally grown fruit might cost you $2. But any imported basics, sunscreen, specific brands of toiletries, chocolate bars, are going to carry a hefty premium because of the shipping costs we discussed.
And what about the morning routine? What about caffeine?
Very important.
A local coffee kopi tubruk, which is strong, unfiltered coffee grounds in hot water, at a local warung is $1 to $1.50. But if you are craving a proper espresso machine and you find one of the few cafes in town that can actually make a proper flat white, you're paying $2 to $3.
It's still not bad, but a jump.
Yeah. Now, we absolutely have to talk about the alcohol caveat because this catches a lot of tourists off guard.
It is a critical cultural point. Karimunjawa is a very tight-knit Muslim-majority community. The cultural norms here are conservative. You are not going to find loud beach bars on every corner serving buckets of cheap liquor.
Finding even a large bottle of bintang beer can be scarce in the main town.
Yeah.
And when you do find it at a guest house or a specific restaurant, it runs $2.50 to $4, which is quite high for Indonesia, and significantly more at the luxury resorts.
This brings us to a broader point about cultural etiquette. You are a guest in this community. Dressing modestly when you are walking through the main town or going to the mini market is a basic expected sign of respect.
Yeah, if I can be blunt, do not go walking through the night market in a string bikini or board shorts without a shirt.
Please don't.
Keep the swimwear confined strictly to the beaches and the snorkeling boats. Throw a sarong or a t-shirt on when you are in the village.
And regarding the service culture, expect it to be warm, genuinely friendly, but definitely unhurried. You are on island time.
Right.
Tipping isn't strictly obligatory in the local warungs, but rounding up the bill or giving a 50,000 rupiah note to a really good boat guide who went out of their way to find turtles for you is always deeply appreciated.
As for food safety, it is generally fine, especially at the busy spots in the night market where the turnover of food is high and the fish is fresh. But definitely stick to bottled water for drinking and brushing your teeth.
Let's give the listener a mental anchor point here to help them navigate the local economy.
Good idea.
Remember that National Park cottage price we mentioned, IDR 500,000, which converts to roughly 31 US dollars?
Yeah.
Keep that mental conversion anchor in your head. When a local quotes you a price in rupiah for a long boat ride or a complex tour, comparing it to that $31 baseline, the cost of a whole building for a night, helps you quickly assess whether something is cheap, fair, or carrying a heavy tourist markup.
Okay, we have your bed, your transport, and your meals all mapped out. Let's add it all up and see the actual daily burn rate. Let's do a deep dive into the specific math for each traveler persona.
Let's start with the backpacker. We estimate a daily budget of $22 to $35 a day.
How does that break down exactly?
Your accommodation in Tier 1 is $8 to $15. Food is another $6 to $10 if you eat exclusively at the local warrens and the night market.
Okay.
Transport is about $5 for renting a scooter, which you share with a friend. Activities average out to $10 to $15 a day if you join the larger shared snorkeling tours. And you add a $2 to $3 buffer for bottled water and small beach entry fees.
That is incredibly cheap. What's the pitfall there? Like, how does a backpacker accidentally blow that budget?
The pitfall is accidental overspending on logistics out of impatience.
Huh.
Booking a private boat for $60 because you didn't want to wait an hour for a group to form. Or burning through money buying extra mobile data packages at inflated island prices because the hostel Wi-Fi is down and you want to stream a movie.
Got it. Next up, the mid-range traveler. This is $45 to $75 a day per person. You're splitting an $18 to $28 share of a nicer Tier 2 air-conditioned room.
Right.
You're spending $12 to $18 on slightly nicer seafood dinners or cafe lunches. Transport is $6 to $8. Activities are $12 to $20. And a slightly larger buffer of $5 to $8 for coffees or a beer.
The comfortable target for a mid-range couple here is really $70 to $90 per person per day.
That sounds reasonable.
If you budget that amount, it allows you to eat very well, maybe hire a private boat once during the trip for a romantic sunset, and not stress over negotiating every single rupee at the market.
Now for the family budget. For 2 adults and 2 kids, you are looking at $120 to $180 a day. So for a typical 5-day trip, that's $600 to $900 total, not including the flights to Java.
Mm-hmm.
That covers a $70 to $100 family bungalow and $30 to $45 for food.
But wait, I'm looking at these numbers and I have to push back.
Sure, what is it?
Why is the family transport and activity cost disproportionately so much higher per capita compared to the mid-range couple? It comes down to the unforgiving physics and safety of island infrastructure. You cannot safely squeeze a family of 4 onto a single $5 rental scooter.
Right.
The roads outside of town are often sandy, potholed, or uneven. It is incredibly dangerous. So families immediately age out of the cheap scooter economy.
Ah, I see.
They have to hire a car with a driver to get to the beaches, or they have to charter a private boat for the family instead of paying per head on a crowded shared tour. The physical logistics of moving 4 people together securely carries a massive premium.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. You can't put a toddler on a moped on a sand track.
Exactly.
Then we have the luxury tier, $200 to $450 a couple per day. The room is $150 to $400. Food and drinks are $40 to $80 with those resort markups. Private diving or exclusive boat charters add $60 to $120.
And here is the overarching value analysis on that luxury tier. It is phenomenally good value compared to a private island dive resort in the Philippines or the Maldives.
Definitely.
But it is terrible value if you are paying $400 a night, expecting high-speed internet and immaculate synchronized intuitive service. As we said, you are paying to the reef, not the router.
And speaking of routers, let's talk about the digital nomad persona.
This is a big one.
We estimate $600 to $1,100 a month, $300 to $500 for a long stay room negotiation, $200 to $300 for food, $60 to $90 for a monthly scooter rental. It sounds like a digital nomad paradise. But there is a massive flashing warning light here.
A giant red flag. The internet infrastructure is simply too weak and too unstable to run a modern digital business.
Really?
Let's explain the mechanism of why. The island does not have a massive undersea fiber optic cable connecting it to the mainland grid.
Okay.
It relies heavily on microwave relay links that beam the signal across the ocean, or satellite connections. These bandwidth pipes are narrow.
I see.
When a storm rolls in, the microwave signal degrades. And even when the weather is perfect, in August, when thousands of tourists are all trying to upload their sunset videos to Instagram at the same time, that narrow pipe gets completely choked.
So if your livelihood depends on taking video, Zoom calls with clients in New York, or uploading massive video files...
You cannot base yourself here. It will ruin your professional reputation.
Wow.
Karimunjawa is a place to close the laptop and disconnect for a week or two. It is absolutely not a reliable remote work base.
Okay, so Those budgets look incredible on paper, provided you aren't trying to work. But there are three specific logistical traps that can instantly blow up those numbers and ruin your trip. Let's name them so people can avoid them.
Trap number 1 is what we call the last ferry, or weather lockout trap.
The mechanism here is brutal, and we touched on it with the garden hose analogy. The fast boat only runs April to October. Both ferries can get canceled when the fetch of the Java Sea kicks up a swell.
Right.
The lived reality is that travelers get stranded on the island for an extra day or two, physically unable to leave, just watching the clock tick down on their onward international flights.
And the financial cost of this trap is severe. You are looking at $80 to $200 in last-minute rebooked flights out of Jakarta.
That hurts.
You are paying for extra nights of accommodation on the island that you didn't budget for, and you are losing annual leave days sitting in a cafe waiting for the wind to die down.
So what's the fix? How do you engineer your way out of this trap?
The fix is buffering. You must build 1 to 2 buffer days into your itinerary between leaving the island and any hard departure deadline from Indonesia.
Smart.
Do not schedule your ferry back to Java on the same day as your flight out of Jakarta. And if you're traveling in the shoulder season, book the Susi Air flight as a backup insurance policy, even if you ideally want to take the cheaper ferry.
Trap number 2 is the cash and ATM trap. As we explained, the ATMs run dry when the physical cash deliveries stop or the microwave internet link drops out. And what about the apps? Can't you just book the ferry on your phone?
The Indonesian ferry booking apps notoriously reject international credit cards. The security protocols often don't align.
The cost here isn't necessarily a direct financial penalty, it's a massive stress penalty.
Oh, massive.
Imagine the scramble of trying to figure out how to pay your homestay owner or buy a ferry ticket home when you literally cannot access your own money and they don't take Visa.
The fix for this is simple, but requires discipline. All the cash you need for your entire stay, plus a healthy emergency buffer of at least $100 from a major city like Semarang or Yogyakarta before you even approach the port.
Trap number 3 is the private boat upsell trap. You arrive at the harbor, you're tired, and a local guide nudges you into a $60 to $90 private boat charter, convincing you that it's the only way to truly see the reefs and avoid the crowds.
Meanwhile, a shared tour is $9 to $15 per person, leaves from the exact same dock, and goes to the exact same coral patches.
Exactly. For a couple or a group of 3 budget travelers, the shared tour is fantastic. The only time you should ever book the private boat is if you have a larger group of 4 or more and you explicitly want to control the itinerary.
Right.
Meaning you dictate to the captain, we want to leave at 7 a.m. to beat all the shared tours to the reef. Otherwise, you are just overpaying to float on the exact same piece of ocean.
Speaking of being out on the ocean or getting stuff on the island, let's talk about safety. What happens if things go sideways medically or on the roads?
Right.
Let's get into safety, solo travel, and comfort.
The real risks on Karimunjawa are very specific. It is not a high-crime area. As we noted, it's a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
The risks are environmental and logistical. We are talking about rough seas, potential snorkeling incidents in strong, shifting currents, and scooter crashes on sandy, potholed roads.
What about solo female travel? How does the island fare there?
It is generally considered very comfortable with low levels of street harassment, but again, adhering to the modest dress code in town helps immensely with blending in and showing respect.
Makes sense.
And from a pure physical safety perspective, solo travelers should never snorkel off a boat completely alone without a guide keeping a direct eye on them. The currents around these small sandbars can sweep you away faster than you realize.
Now, here is the crucial medical caveat, and I cannot stress this enough for families or senior travelers. There is only a small local clinic on the island.
Right.
There is no major hospital. There are no advanced surgical facilities.
This is the single biggest structural discomfort of the island. If you have a severe medical emergency appendicitis, a bad scooter accident, a heart issue, you require an evacuation to the mainland.
Which is not easy.
And as we've established ad nauseum, transportation off the island is entirely weather-dependent and slow. A helicopter evac is incredibly difficult to arrange and wildly expensive.
So true.
Therefore, the stark, honest advice is, do not visit Karimunjawa if you have a precarious, unstable medical condition. It is simply not worth the risk of being medically isolated.
And as for the nightlife and getting around safely at night, the nightlife is essentially just the night market. You go, you eat fish, you drink a coconut, you chat with other travelers, and you go to bed.
Sounds nice, honestly.
It is. There are no wild beach clubs pumping bass until 4 a.m. And if you are on a scooter, please avoid riding the unlit, rough, dirt roads out to places like Ujung Gulum after dark. It is incredibly easy to hit a patch of deep sand and crash when you can't see the road surface.
What's important to grasp is that the discomforts here, the weather delays, the lack of a hospital, the spotty ATMs, the rolling blackouts are structural. They are
Yes.
built into the geographic reality of the destination's remoteness. They aren't situational inconveniences like a broken elevator in a hotel that will magically get fixed tomorrow. You have to plan your entire mindset around them.
So if you manage all those logistical risks, you buffer your time, and you bring your cash, what is the actual payoff? Let's look at the best and worst moments you'll have on the island.
The highs are spectacular, but as we've noted, they must be earned through timing. Snorkeling at Minjong and Kessel or Samara Island on a perfectly calm, glassy morning for just $9 to $15 on a shared tour is incredible.
So beautiful.
The coral patches are healthy, the fish life is vibrant, and the water is bath warm.
The sunsets at Ujung Gulum are truly iconic. Sitting on the white sand, watching the sun dip below the horizon, framed by those leaning palm trees, and it costs almost nothing.
That sounds perfect.
The mangrove boardwalk on Karimunjawa is a beautifully quiet, elevated wooden path through dense green nature, a perfect way to spend a shaded afternoon. And for scuba divers, getting to explore wall and wreck sites for $35 to $50 a dive is an absolute steal compared to global diving rates.
But then we have to talk about the overrated traps.
Yes, the primary one being the shark swimming pens at Minjong and Besar. It costs about $1.25 for entry, plus your boat ride out there.
I have to say, I have a massive problem with this, and a lot of travelers do too. Keeping reef sharks captive in small, shallow sea enclosures purely so tourists can jump in and take selfies inside a designated marine national park.
Yeah, it's controversial.
That feels entirely contradictory to the whole conservation ethos that a national park is supposed to uphold. It makes a lot of ecologically minded travelers deeply uncomfortable.
It is a fascinating and polarizing attraction. It is a prime example of the friction between legacy tourism attractions, things that were built decades ago to draw domestic tourists, and modern ecological awareness.
Right.
The operators view it as a safe, guaranteed way for people who might be afraid of the open ocean to see a shark.
Yeah.
We are just reporting on the objective existence of it from the source material and the tension it creates. But it is certainly a major point of disappointment for many international visitors who expect a pristine, look but don't touch conservation environment.
And we also have to talk about what Instagram hides. The heavily edited photos don't show the patches of bleached or anchor-damaged reef.
Definitely not.
They don't show the midday boat traffic jams in August where you're practically bumping flippers with 20 other snorkelers. And they don't show how wildly the water visibility fluctuates based on the wind that morning.
Which leads to the golden rule of Karimunjawa. Everything that is popular, every beach, every reef, is exponentially better before 10 a.m. or right at the edge of sunset.
Good rule.
This island deeply rewards patience and early risers, but it actively punishes demands for pristine perfection on a tight midday schedule.
Okay, if all this logistics management, the ferries, the cash, the weather app sounds like way too much work, what are the easier alternatives? Let's look at a couple of other options if you want an island escape without the anxiety.
Alternative 1 is the Gili Islands, located off the coast of Lombok, right next to Bali.
The Gili's have the exact same fundamental formula. Small islands, no cars, great snorkeling, and a hammock lifestyle. But the Gili's run about 30 to 50% higher in daily cost. A mid-range room there is going to be $50 to $90.
The pros of the Gilis are significant, though, and they solve almost all of Karimunjawa's structural problems.
Like what?
You have highly reliable, large, fast boats, accessing them directly from Bali multiple times a day. You have vibrant nightlife, seamless credit card payments at almost every cafe, and you could literally walk out of your hotel and snorkel with sea turtles straight off the beach without needing a boat tour.
But the cons. They are incredibly busy. They are highly commercialized. And Gili Trarang, the largest of the three, can feel completely overrun with party-focused tourists during the high season.
Right. Alternative 2 is Belitung, an island located off the east coast of Sumatra.
Belitung is quiet, and it's famous for these massive, dramatic granite boulder beaches that look like the Seychelles. And the budget is very similar to Karimunjawa, around $40 to $70 a day for a mid-range experience.
But here is the crucial logistical advantage of Belitung. It has a real, fully functioning, all-weather airport with regular, highly reliable flights from Jakarta.
No slow ferry.
No ferry lottery at all. You can fly in on a Friday and fly out on a Sunday with near absolute certainty.
The downside to Belitung is that the offshore reefs and the diving just aren't as vibrant or accessible as Karimunjawa, and the classic cheap wooden boat island hopping scene isn't as developed. So what is the conclusion here? Karimunjawa still firmly wins on the sheer price for remoteness ratio and maintaining that genuine, low-key, undeveloped marine park vibe.
It definitely beats the alternatives on price. But does it beat them on overall value once you factor in the very real logistical risks and the travel time? It is time for the final matrix.
All right, let's deliver the final scores and verdicts based strictly on traveler type, consolidating everything we've analyzed today.
For the backpacker, we scored an 8 out of 10. It is absolutely worth it, provided you travel between April and August.
That's a high score.
Yeah, that $7 ferry and those $8 to $15 homestay rooms make this arguably Indonesia's best cheap island escape. The value is insane. But skip it entirely if you're on a rigid, fast-paced 2-week dash through Southeast Asia. You don't have the time to get stuck.
For the mid-range traveler and couples, 7 out of 10. It is highly worth it for those $70 to $90 quiet, air-conditioned bungalows on Karimunjawa, especially when you compare that to paying double for a noisy street in Bali.
Right.
But skip it if you need lively cocktail nightlife or if you need reliable Wi-Fi to unwind and stream movies at night.
For the family, 6 out of 10. You must book this carefully. Spending $600 to $900 for a 5-day family trip is fantastic financial value.
It is.
But that thin medical infrastructure, the lack of a hospital, and the weather-dependent evacuation is the deciding skip factor. If you as a parent cannot accept that specific remote risk, do not go.
For the luxury traveler, 6 out of 10. This is strictly for dedicated scuba divers or honeymooners who are willing to pay $150 to $400 a night. You have to deeply understand that you are buying the remoteness and exclusive access to the reef, not a 5-star, highly polished resort experience.
And finally, for the digital nomad or solo remote worker, 4 out of 10.
Ouch.
The verdict is, wait,
Yeah.
take a vacation here, but do not work here.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an incredibly cheap $40 a day environment. But if you are looking at spending $600 to $1,100 a month to set up a permanent work base, the terrible weather-dependent internet entirely ruins it as a professional hub.
So the overall consolidated verdict on Karimunjawa, book carefully. The cheapness is incredibly real, but the lack of logistical reliability is the absolute price you pay for those massive savings.
Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We've talked extensively about the delicate balance of the April to August safe window for traveling here. We've talked about the garden hose being open.
Right.
But if we connect this to the much bigger global picture of climate change, as sea temperatures continue to rise and as traditional monsoon wind patterns become increasingly erratic, prolonged, and unpredictable, how much longer will that defined safe window actually hold up?
Wow, that's a good question.
If the fetch of the Java Sea starts generating massive swells in June, are we looking at a near future where Karimunjawa becomes entirely inaccessible for budget travelers who have to rely on those flat-bottomed, slow ferries? It's a looming existential question for the future of this marine park and for remote island tourism as a whole.
If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day. That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.